So exciting. Let's share my screen immediately so you can see the Google image search. Part 8. There it is. Look at that. I did a Google image search, and this is from the British Museum. There she is. John Keats is picturing this woman as Autumn. I don't know if she's crossing a brook in this painting, but there she is with the grain on her head. Do you carry things on your head? I carry things on my head. I just last week, in setting up my back porch office, because it's getting too cold to be out on my front porch office, I carried a bookcase or part of a bookcase from our garage into here on my head. Didn't even know it was going to be relevant in a lecture. Here's an exercise. If we were in a regular face-to-face classroom, we would do this in class right this moment. I will probably figure out how to do it in a discussion forum or some other way, because it's worth doing, it's worth practicing. You come up with a silly interpretation. So for Keats to Autumn, I'm going to say, well, the word autumn is sometimes used as a woman's name. So I'm just going to say this is a girl he liked. And it's to Autumn. He couldn't have been plainer. It's to her, it's to a particular girl. And maybe she really is a gleaner. She's a farm girl that he's got a crush on. But then what we want to do is list 3 reasons that we know that's not true. And one is that in the very beginning, he says, you're a season of mellow fruitfulness. The gleaner stuff comes later. And it just doesn't seem to me that you would say to a girl you like that you're plumping the gourd and swelling the hazelnuts. Doesn't sound. He's a romantic poet, but it's capital R, not romance. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's not true. And so in a regular class, again, we would do this in person. I will figure out how to do it. So what you do with your partner or in the group is you pick a strange or weird or confusing spot and you come up with a silly interpretation. And the first thing you're trying to do is something that you're sure is not true. And then you're going to explain why you're sure that's not true. What this does, since you're being silly on purpose, it sort of takes away the potential embarrassment of, oh, what I said was really silly. That can't possibly be the interpretation. So you do it, and you know it's silly. And so it kind of helps you get over that hump of what if I look silly? It's really not bad to look silly. And what this does, as you're explaining to yourself and your group how you know this isn't the correct interpretation, you reveal to yourself what you do know about the poem, what you are sure about, or more sure about. Here's some other silliness, and this is more genuine. I was a little bit of a pill as a graduate student. This was at Southern Illinois University. This was a fantastic seminar on romantic poetry, British and American romantic poetry. So we did Keats and Wordsworth and Whitman and Dickinson. And 2 of the 2 teachers ended up being on my master's thesis committee, Rodney Jones, a contemporary poet, and Daniel Kiefer, a romantic literature specialist. And honestly, I didn't know how to interpret poetry. I knew how to react to it, and I knew how to observe it, and I noticed things about it, but I was not good as an early graduate student at interpretation. So these lines, I trying to convince Daniel, and I think I even said it in an essay draft, but he convinced me to take it out. I try to say that the lines that I have in bold there were really an image of music, that they were physically, that Keats was giving us an image of a line with notes on them, so that plumped fruit or the apples on the branches were notes on a music staff. Season of mists and mellow fruitfulness, close bosom friend of the maturing sun, conspiring with him how to load and bless with fruit the vines that round the thatch eaves run, to bend with apples the mossed cottage trees. But Daniel said, no. He was able to answer it confidently. First of all, that's not how Keats does things. That's not how Keats makes his point. I had to trust him on that. But he logically pointed out, well, he actually hasn't brought up music yet. So why would he have lines here of music that are really obscure and not obvious at all, and then not bring up music again until much later? If he's going to do that, why wouldn't there be a lot more musical imagery, and why wouldn't it be a little bit or a lot more obvious? And then the main way he convinced me was that branches and vines actually don't look like lines on sheet music. That doesn't actually make sense. I was being imaginative, but quirky, and not in a way to interpret. I was just being, thought I was being clever. I don't even think I was being very clever. All right, well, almost done. Part 9 coming up.